Hello friends, I am going to do another cooking vlog slide experiment, and that is to make that pie crust that I made a few weeks ago only gluten-free. My mother has requested this because she is celiac. I have a sibling that is celiac. There are food allergies all over my family, and sometimes we gotta experiment. And I am making another pie, another apple pie, a smaller apple pie, one in this little Corningware dish. Specifically because the child decided that they wanted more apples, but left them on the counter for 4 weeks, and now I am suspicious of the apples, so they're gonna get baked. Oh yes, because brands and products matter when you are doing gluten-free. Here is the shortening, and it does say gluten-free right there. We're using Country Crock Original. It doesn't say vegetarian or vegan, but if you look at the ingredients, there isn't any lactose, there isn't any dairy ingredients, and right there it does say gluten-free. And this is the gluten-free all-purpose flour we are using today, because I'm not sure if you've done gluten-free before, but it's a really big pet peeve of mine when people say just use a gluten-free all-purpose flour and don't say which one they used, because they all act differently. So this is just the one that we're gonna try today. 1 cup of tea. Here is my very cold bowl of margarine and shortening. Like I said last time, I put it in the freezer instead of the fridge because margarine is very soft in the fridge and you need it hard. So the recipe called for 4 tablespoons of shortening, 4 tablespoons of margarine, and 1.5 cups of flour. But we are going to actually be quartering the recipe today because, once again, I am only fitting it in that teeny tiny Corningware dish and only doing the bottom crust. 1/8 scoop. That brings us up to 1/4. Boom. And a little dash of flour for those apples. Just adding a little salt. And I'm gonna start experimenting with this at least. Yeah, this may or may not work. I kind of just don't want to break out the food processor for what is supposed to be a teeny tiny little project experiment pie. And magical time jump. I feel like you can tell that the water is good and chilled when it has that fog on the glass, so we're gonna go ahead and add 1 tablespoon. That was like exactly a tablespoon. Interesting. Very rarely get it right the first time. And I remember last time it worked when I thought I had added way too much water in and it had gotten so goopy. So I think that I'm just gonna add a teeny tiny bit more. But it's pie crust, so it will go from 0 to 60 in like 0.00 seconds flat. So right now we're sitting on a little over a tablespoon, maybe a tablespoon and a half. But gluten-free flour is notorious for being pretty dry in my house. So I'm gonna add just a tiny splash more, make it maybe 2 tablespoons. Now it is starting to kind of feel like it wants to come together though. So maybe 2 tablespoons is the magic number. Poosh. That's all in frame, right? Yeah, but you can barely see it because of the texture of the countertop. That makes sense. Obviously, I specifically chose this house with filming YouTube videos in mind. Yeah, this flour I feel is just a little bit dry, and that's why it needed so much water. I'm gonna get my rolling pin. This is my pasta rolling pin, and ain't it just the cutest little thing you ever did see? Yeah, this dough is just really dry. That's all. It's very, no! It's very pliable, very malleable. It's okay. No. Yeah, now it's too wet, but it wants to absorb everything. You might be a little tough because I'm reforming you into a ball. We're gonna try this again. Just being very careful now. Careful. It's okay. Patch that up real quick. Nobody will know. You don't know. Nobody will ever know. We're just gonna be sneaky about this real quick. That didn't work. Well, this is not working out in the traditional way. We don't have to be traditional. You know what? I'm gonna recommend you not heed any mind to that whole rolling out nonsense and just get it to like a square and push the edges up. That's how we're gonna do this pie crust. It's just the rustic version. Gonna make a little patchy patch there, patchy patch there, and a little patchy patch there. Now, the apples look a lot better than the pie crust does, but that's okay. This is only 2 apples. The apples in this dish are going in a little over the crust, but that's okay. We're actually going to do the Dutch apple crumble topping. Cup number 2 of tea. Okay, so for the Dutch apple crumble, we're very much fans of the wing it method. Here we have that margarine again, and the brown sugar, which we're just gonna assume is gluten-free. So in the exact same bowl as before, that's right, we're not even bothering to wash it. Throw in some brown sugar, an approximately equivalent chunk of margarine, I would say, and then back to our gluten-free flour. Chunk. And that's right, don't even bother to wash the bowl that you just did the pie crust in, because it's not necessary. It's not really working when we're doing the fork. You know what? So we're just gonna actually do this. The hand is the best kitchen tool, you know? And it's times like these where it's really handy to have a spare toddler lying around so you can get them to play with this instead. This is definitely a different texture than when you do it with the flour that does have gluten in it, but I don't know how to describe it. Maybe more sandy. Just making a crumble top. Let's crumbling that top on there. Make sure to get it off all of your phalanges. Ta-da! The pie is currently in the oven at 425 for 30 minutes, and we'll probably check it then. I didn't put the aluminum foil around the rim because there's actually not pie crust that's on top, so we'll see how it goes. I actually think that it might be kind of cute to, if it's not done after those 30 minutes, then just sprinkle a little bit more like brown sugar on top, because that'd be cute, right? Okay, this just came out of the oven and it looks really cute right now. If you take a peek down there, it does look like the crust has pulled away from the edge. I did sprinkle on some brown sugar about 5 minutes toward the end of the bake. I don't think it makes a huge difference, but you can see a little bit on there. I think it's kind of still pretty cute. I am on my 3rd cup of this tea, which is a big ball of cracked ginger with an entire lemon sliced in there and some raw honey. I brought it to a boil without the raw honey in, and then I put it on the lowest setting that the stovetop would allow, and then I poured in the honey, and that is my throat tonic. But fair warning, the longer you let the ginger steep in there, the spicier it gets. Someone eated it. I mean, well, I guess we have no choice but to do a taste and whatnot test now, because somebody already got to do so. And it's only fair. It's quite necessary. Like, I was told to like let apple pies and whatnot cool overnight. This has only been, I don't know, maybe 3 hours. That was pretty much just filling, just like apple pie filling. I feel like I could have, okay, I did put enough cinnamon in it, but I could have put a little bit more sugar on it. Got some crusty bits. It's like an after texture, not like an aftertaste, but an after texture that's a little bit sandier, which, I don't know, I feel like I made the comment that with the crumble topping, just kneading it by hand kind of felt a little bit sandier. I feel like that persists into the crust as well, but it's not too prevalent. I think my final thoughts on this would be that with this flour, it's not an exact replica of the previous pie crust, but it's not too dissimilar. If you fed this to somebody who did not know this was gluten-free, I don't think that they would really be able to be like, oh yes, there is something off about this pie crust. It's a little bit different than the previous pie crust and a little bit different in the texture, but not necessarily the taste or anything. I think that the only thing that I've ever made that was gluten-free that I couldn't really tell the difference between the regular and gluten-free versions were like some pumpkin cupcakes. I might actually share that recipe, but I don't know if it was a recipe that I made or if I got somewhere else and then tweaked, or if my tweaking would be enough to call it my own recipe. But if you would like to see that in a video, please notate it down below along with any questions, comments, or concerns. New videos should come out on Tuesdays or Fridays or both. Feel free to like this video, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you know when I actually do post. Like always, stay happy, stay healthy, and we'll see you next time. Bye! I've honestly lost track of how many cups of tea it is at this time, guys. I mean, it might be 3, it might be 5, it might be 10. And these aren't small cups either. Man, the flavor of this tea does not complement the pie at all. It's ginger versus, like, you would think ginger and cinnamon, but it's just too much, it's too powerful. They're competing. Does it mean that I won't eat the two competing flavors in tandem with each other? Absolutely not. Would I recommend it? Absolutely not.